Just say hi.
Hi. Hi.
One. Wait. Who is the other coming was like
Hello.
yeah.
Okay, so sorry about that. I hear a lot of background noise. It's amazing to see so many of you online as well. So welcome. You might have seen my name and some of my messages on the event group if you've been on it. I am Aditi Lachman. I'm from Women's, and I see a lot of girls introducing themselves. So hi, Busisiwe. Hi, Alison from Durban. Paulina is from Windhoek. And so we've got a number of girls joining us today, and I see a number of girls joining us in groups as well. So welcome to everybody. Today it's going to be really around sharing and you being the stars of the show today, around asking our amazing engineers that are joining us today questions that you have about engineering and technology. So engineering and technology is a very vast career field. And it's very interesting and new developments. The fact that we can connect virtually is part of that excitement, right? And so before we get started, I wanted to check, does anybody want to say a quick hi from their side online other than the chat? Corsi, I see your hand is up. Do you want to unmute and tell us where you're from and do a quick introduction? Hi, Corsi. Okay, anybody else want to do a quick introduction of where you're coming from? If you are in groups, I know we have a number of groups joining us as well. Would love to hear where you're coming from. Okay, you can unmute yourself.
Auntie Winprasel.
Hello guys, I'm Elzette Masumala all the way from Limpopo, Uphill Rankwana, currently in grade 9 schooling at Impila Secondary School.
Great, thanks for joining us. I'm going to hear more from hope I pronounced it properly. Mankanya, do you want to go next?
Yes. Hi guys, my name is Lumelo. I'm from Leslie, Mpumalanga. I'm currently in grade 9 at Thistlegrove Combined School.
Perfect. Thanks for joining. I see another hand up. Do you want to go ahead?
Hi guys, my name is Rubaningo. I school at Johannesburg Hospital School.
Perfect. So we have a lot of girls online today from Johannesburg, well, South Africa. Nationally, we got from Botswana and we've got from Namibia as well. So thank you everybody for joining us. And those that have been on our event WhatsApp group, we see all the excitement that's coming from there, and we hope that you're bringing that excitement here as well. So how it's going to work is I am going to share my screen right now, and I'm going to take you through a quick presentation and introduction to engineering. Lorraine, I see your hand is up. Do you want to do a quick introduction?
Guys, to go to introduction.
You can put your video on if possible.
So
we're gonna go ahead. Let me share my screen. This is more some of the formalities, but really to introduce you to what Ask an Engineer is, right? So let's go. So again, my name's Aditi Rachman. I am a civil engineer and I also work full-time for Women, doing amazing work like this where we can connect you with different engineers in the engineering and technology space. And what is our mission today? So today our mission is to really learn about engineering and technology. It is an opportunity for you to ask those burning questions and also get information that you probably wouldn't be able to get from Google, right? Because you're getting to speak to these engineers and learn from them as well. Our engineers come from different engineering backgrounds. However, even the discussion today is not just limited to the backgrounds they come from, but a wider discussion around interests for you as well. to make this call a little easier, we ask that, so number one, the call is being recorded. So post this if you are having internet connectivity issues, which we understand. We will share the recording with you and also make it public on our YouTube channel. Everybody is muted, but as I said, this call is around engagement and discussion, and we want to hear your voices. So you can either use the chat function, which I see a lot of you already have tried by introducing yourself. So you can post your questions in the chat session, chat group, or you can unmute yourself, raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask your question as well. If you are using Zoom for the first time, you will see on your gray panel, if you're on a mobile, there's a reactions button. So if everybody can try, you can either clap your hand or give a thumbs up. Does anyone want to try that function? Perfect. So if anything excites you or you are in awe of it, definitely we'd love to see you use the reaction buttons as well. And then can we ask that there is a number of girls on the call. If you click on participants and you'll find your name, can you please rename it to at least your first name and which city you're coming from so that we can get an idea of where everybody's joining us from. So your city or your country, and that will help us with engagement as well. So first your name and then your country so that we can know who we're speaking to as well. And then some other amazing opportunities that we want to create here is some rules to help that is number one, engaging and idea sharing is encouraged. So we want to make this a rich experience for you and we really want to engage with you. So don't feel shy. Any questions accepted. There is no thing as a stupid question. And also fun is strictly advised here. And how is the session going to work? So this first 15 minutes is we're doing a quick introduction and context, learning who our speakers are, what is engineering and technology about. From 10:15 to 10:45, we are going to learn more from our guests. So we have 5 guest speakers today from Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa. And then really around you having the opportunity to ask your questions to them as well. Giving you a brief introduction on what is engineering and technology. So we know a lot of you are interested and you might have heard typical engineering disciplines like mechanical engineering, electrical, chemical, civil. With the way the world is evolving, there's a number of engineering disciplines. And what do engineers actually do? So as engineers, we are futurists, we strategists, we artists. We plan for what does the world look like in 50 to 100 years from now. So if you look all around you, the fact that we can connect over the web, the devices sitting in front of you, your house, all of these things are engineered, right? And so here are some examples of what engineers can do. So this house is typically a house takes maybe at minimum 3 to 4 weeks to actually build. This house was constructed in 48 hours because of 3D printing, right? So some amazing technology. These are some of the new transportation systems. So you might have heard of drones. Engineers are responsible for creating machines like this where you can transport goods like medicine without a person actually being in the vehicle itself. We also, as engineers, work on fun stuff, right? So this here is examples of closets where your closet is a smart closet and you can detect what items of clothing you have in your closet and it connects up to your calendar as well as the weather. And so giving you recommendations for the outfit. So how many of you would love that as well? Lungela, I see your hand is up and the excitement, right? And then talking about artificial intelligence as well. So as the world is moving, we are moving to having more robots integrated into the work that we do. And robots are making life easier for us so that as humans, yes, we might be losing some jobs in the short term, but it's giving us the opportunity to really think creatively and do the work that we as humans can do other than monotonous stuff. So example, like packing groceries in the shop, right? But having having people learn how to teach the robots to pack the groceries. Another exciting space is biotechnology. So with COVID-19, biotechnology has really shown us how we can use living organisms in the technology that we create. And part of that is also example vaccines, right? And another interesting space is data mining. So all the data you put online, so every time you scroll on Facebook and Instagram and you share your status updates on WhatsApp, data is being collected about you. And so there's good and there's bad. And the good is that you get more personalized support in terms of what you use online. And companies like Facebook use your data as part of their advertising so that you get advertisements that relate to what you are looking for. So everybody who said, you know, I think my devices are listening to me, this is part of that. So might not be listening as yet, but collecting your data on what is it that you're looking for. And one of the most exciting things, if you've heard of Elon Musk, is there's a number of missions going on right now for us to engineer cities on different planets. So one of them is Mars. And by show of hands or the thumbs up, how many of you are interested in going to another planet? I see hands up, going up. Cool, right? Is designing everything on a new planet, including the oxygen that we're going to breathe as humans, right? And so there's so many amazing things happening. And that's why we have a few speakers on today who's going to share with you some of their experiences. And these guests include, as I said, from South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana, coming from different backgrounds. So industrial engineering, geology, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering as well. And we're going to hear a lot more from them. So I'm going to I've sent a screenshot of this and we're going to share, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now and give our speakers an opportunity to introduce themselves to you. So I am going to start with Joanna. So Joanna is a mechanical engineer and she does some amazing work and she's currently based here in South Africa. Joanna, do you want to give us a quick introduction of who you are, where you come from, a little bit about your engineering background, something fun about it that you do?
Good morning, Aditi. Hi, ladies from all over. My name is Joanna. I am a mechanical engineer. I'm from Windhoek. Anyone from Windhoek? I'm from Kommersdal. Hi to all the Namibian ladies specifically. So I have a mechanical engineering degree from the University of Cape Town, but I'm currently based in Cape Town from basically the beginning of last year, working as a project engineer. I'm working on a project where the company that I work for, De Beers, is busy building a new mining vessel. So that's my current role right now. And something interesting about myself is I love fashion and I'm learning how to make clothes. And I used to go to sewing classes. That was before COVID started, so I had to stop that, unfortunately. But yeah, that's all from my side. And I'm super excited to be here today and I hope you are all super excited too.
Great, thanks, Joanna. And if everybody wants to react, you can give a thumbs up. You can comment in the chat group as well. We're really looking for your engagement. I'm going to introduce next Indinai. Indinai Tawana from Botswana. Do you want to go ahead and do a quick introduction of yourself as well?
Okay, good morning, ladies all over from Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa. My name is Indinai Tawana. I'm currently based in Botswana, working for the Botswana Joining Mine. I'm working as a systems analyst under the Mineral Resource Management Department. And I've been with the Botswana for the past 7 years now. But overall in the mining industry, I think I have about 11 years now. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of experience in the mining industry. Before I joined Botswana, I was actually at Tati Nickel Mine. It's also a mining company somewhere down there in the northern part of Botswana. So what I do currently, I'm responsible for integrating systems within the MRM department. So I will share more as we engage in terms of what that role really means. And then in terms of graduation, I graduated as a geologist from the University of Botswana. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Indinai. Next, we're gonna get introduced to Vollen. So Vollen is from Namibia and she's also currently working here in Cape Town. Vollen, would you like to give us a quick introduction?
Hi all, my name is Vollen Nel. I'm so happy to be with all of you today. I'm a chemical engineer by trade. I'm working for NAMDEB. I've recently completed my master's degree for MBA at Stellenbosch University. I'm from a small town called Rehoboth, actually not so small, south of Windhoek. So Joanna will know exactly where I'm coming from. I've recently relocated from Oraniemo to Windhoek actually. So I am working in Windhoek currently as a risk and compliance manager. So for engineers, you don't have to stick in engineering. You can venture out into all different fields because we are trained to do so. And we are trained to solve problems in different fields as well. I am an F1 supporter completely. I love fast cars. I drive fast too. So it's a bit of a paradox in terms when it comes to mining, when it comes to safety as well. And I'm an F1 Ferrari supporter. However, I've been secretly supporting Hamilton the last couple of years. That's from me.
Great, thanks, Vollen. And then we have Prudence. Prudence from Botswana, would you like to go ahead?
Morning, everyone. My name is Prudence Mabua, all the way from Lepolula in Botswana. Those of you who've logged from Boletlhakane would know where Lepolula is, a few kilometers from the capital city of Botswana. I'm currently based at Diamond Trading Company, Botswana, in the midstream environment of the diamond. So I've got a vast experience. Having graduated as an electrical and electronics engineer from the University of Surrey in UK, and then I've been exposed from the exploration all the way to mining, and now currently in the midstream, where I've spent most of my years working as an engineer in maintenance as well as in projects. Welcome to everybody. Hope you will enjoy our session. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Prudence. Our last speaker, Izan, is having a bit of trouble connecting. So as soon as she does come on, we will connect with her. But really, let's not waste some time as well. Lunza, I see your hand is up. Do you have any questions or comments? Okay, we're going to
introduce myself, but it's fine.
Thanks, let me mute that. We're going to go straight into some questions we have. So I have two questions from my side for speakers, and then we're going to connect with them where you get to ask the question as well. So engineers, my first question to you is, what does a typical day look like for you? So what problems do you solve as an engineer or in the work that you do? And take us through some maybe interesting projects that you've worked on as well. Prudence, I'm going to start with you to share what does an exciting day look like for you?
Thank you, Aditi. Currently, as I'm now in the strategic position, whereby I guide the information management team, the asset management team in engineering, which is basically around maintaining the sorting technology, as well as guiding the safety and sustainability team. My typical day starts with meetings whereby my direct report to me how things are going at the plant, how maintenance is ongoing to ensure that our plant is running, as well as our sorting technology, and as well get some typical feedback from the projects. I currently completed a very exciting project with my team, whereby we became the first DBS team to install a solar plant in our area. So watch out for it in your YouTubes. By end of the year, we would have invited various high-profile speakers to come and see how we are contributing to the carbon neutral world.
Great.
So that's how my day is, very busy, jumping from one area to the other. Thank you.
Great. Volan, with an engineering background in the work that you do now, combining your engineering knowledge and business skills and savvy as well, what does a typical day look like for you?
As I said to you, my role changed from plant manager, which had the typical day, as Prudence as well. It's never the same. It's something different every single day. And that's what's making engineering so exciting, to risk and compliance. So what I'm doing now is that I'm also the COVID coordinator for our company. So I've set up a lab recently in Oranjemund. We're doing our own COVID testing in Oranjemund, but looking also at the region, looking at Lüderitz and the Karasburg region as well. So my day starts with looking at all the statistics of the previous day and then linking it up to ensure that we have all controls in place. So what a critical control is to ensure that, for example, that there's PPE, that we've got the right equipment in place, that people stay social distance. And if we pick up that anything is wrong during that specific area, we then implement corrective actions. And it's quite interesting. So what we've also done is that part of the risk and compliance sections of NAMDEP is looking at all of the business risk. That's looking at the production risk, safety risk, and that I'm doing big data mining on a daily basis to see if there's trends of things happening. And those trends, when we pick it up, we present it to our executive team, and then we put actions in place. So my day is never the same. And that's what I like about my field. It's definitely never the same. You don't get boring at all.
Great. Ndinai, from your side, can you tell us a little bit about your work and what problems do you solve?
Okay, guys, like I've mentioned, I'm a systems analyst, so my job for the day, what I do is that I support technical processes under the mineral resource management. So what we basically do, we spend a lot of time in the day. There's very little time in the field, but we do interface with field activities when required. So what we do on a day-to-day basis, it involves things like integrating systems so that we can be able to automate them, reduce some manual processes like capturing data manually. So the purpose really of integrating these systems is to ensure that we automate as many processes as we can to reduce error. And then, of course, we also do build some dashboards or some reporting platforms that can actually make or inform business decisions a lot easier. And the other critical thing is access or managing security to that data. We also ensure that the right people have got the right permissions to the data to avoid any unintended use of that data. And of course, the main critical thing is to ensure that the data is of the right quality. So we do monitor data integrity. And also, this is a very broad role. We also support in terms of troubleshooting and also training our clients in the use of those systems. And another one is development of the geoscience models. So that's another critical area that we support the business in. Geoscience models are just the representation of your resource or your mineral resource on the ground in 3D format. So that's one area that we really spend a lot of time trying to support the business under this role. So it is a very exciting role because it requires us to catch up in terms of technological advances. So we are sort of always on our toes to ensure that we are also ahead with the world out there. Thanks.
Great. And already we're hearing from 3 engineers and a lot of words around data and technology and analyzing. So some keywords we're taking out. Joanna, from your side, what does your work look like, especially as being having a mechanical engineering background, how do you use this?
So in my current role as a project engineer, my day-to-day activities basically change. They've changed a lot starting from when I started in the role to now. Because of COVID, most of it has been working at home and engaging with the different suppliers and all of the manufacturers of all of the different machines that will end up being used on the mining ship. So that consists of attending meetings, and we've also attended factory acceptance testing. So this is basically once all of the equipment is completed, then you have to run it to see that it's working as it's supposed to be as per the specification. So those types of things we've been doing online now. Luckily enough, we've built 2 of the mining systems that are going onto this vessel. So we've built 2. One was sent to one of the existing mining vessels in the fleet. So I was fortunate enough to go onto that ship about 2 weeks ago. And I spent some time seeing how the crawler, which is the mining system, is performing now. And so that specifically involved a lot of site work. I was on site basically 7 to 7 all day, because once you're on the mining ship, you can't leave. So you just do work. Working with the guys who do the operation of the crawler to see if there are any issues, because it's a new system. A lot of controls and automation has happened on this system. So to pick up any issues as well in terms of just smaller things like how to access the crawler for maintenance, any of the new designs that were incorporated if they are working as required, and then giving feedback to the guys here in Cape Town so that they can already start doing the improvements on the one that's here waiting for the vessel. So yeah, that's what my typical day looks like.
Great, and sounds very complex and complicated, right? And engineer, so my second question is, in the first question, I heard a lot of the big words around analysis and, as I said, data and making sure that the people around you are safe while also making sure the machinery works efficiently, right? So I want you to take a step back to a lot of our girls joining us today are from the ages of like 14 to 18 years old. And so when you think back to when you were at that age, and many of our girls thinking about it right now, what is some of your earliest memories of realizing this is the career field that I want to go into? So we're going to work backwards. Joanna, thinking about your career as wanting to study mechanical engineering, what were some of your earliest memories of deciding this is my career path?
So I wasn't brought up around engineers in my house or in my family. And I didn't really know what engineering was about until I got to matric. And then basically it's a thing of, you need to decide now, where do you want to go study and what do you want to go study? And I was very confused. I spoke to some of my teachers and they said, well, because you are strong in maths and physics, you could try and go study mathematics, you can try and go study physics or something in between. And I really wanted to do something creative. So I thought I could maybe do architecture. And then my sister introduced me to one of her friends who's an architect. And after speaking to him, I realized, okay, this is not really what I want to do. And then I thought, okay, what's closest to architecture that has maths and has physics and a bit of creativity in it? So I thought, okay, I'll study civil engineering. And I applied to UCT and I got accepted and I was very excited. And because my mom wasn't able to pay for the tuition, I had to apply for a bursary. And I got accepted by De Beers for a bursary. Luckily enough, I was blessed for that. And they said that you can either study electrical engineering or you can study mechanical engineering. So in my mind, the closest connection at that point was mechanical because it was more structural and so on related to civil engineering. This is what I thought at the time anyway. And in my mind, I wasn't very happy because I thought I was sacrificing what I wanted to study. But when I got to the university and I started learning more and more what mechanical engineering is, I really appreciated it because it's got all of the foundations of science. So your maths, your physics, your structures, and all of that. And then it's also got aspects of electrical. So I learned about electrical engineering or electrical systems and so on. And I also learned about how to do coding and work in the more IT related things, as well as the actual design aspect of it, where you learn how to design machines safely, and how to solve problems using machines in essence. So that's how I ended up in mechanical engineering. It was sort of an accidental route, but I'm very happy that I ended up in this field.
Great, thanks, Joanna. And Dinai, from your side, what was one of your earliest memories of why you decided to pursue a background in geology?
I think like the previous speaker, they also wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But I think luckily for me, I had my father who was already working in the mining industry. He was working for the BCL mine. For those that are coming from Botswana, they would probably relate and know where BCL mine is. It's in a small town, Siliwe. That's where I was born and raised. So he was able to guide and, comfort me and, sort of convince me that that is the right course to take. But before that, I had actually seen an advert on the newspaper. DBS wanted some students who can, come for the interview so that they sponsor them. So I chose metallurgy by then, but unfortunately I failed at the interviews. So I had to go to the University of Botswana, started doing Bachelor of Science General, and then ultimately selected geology. But before I selected geology as well, I wanted to divert to computer science. But unfortunately, because of my grades, I could not be accepted into the computer science class. But here I am now, I'm back to the systems world again. And, I'm happy to be doing systems after failing to, to pass through computer science. So that's my journey in short.
Great, thanks, Indinai. And it shows, right, is that sometimes what we first wanted to choose might not happen, but eventually you work your way towards getting that. And now that you're still working with computer systems as well. Bolan, do you want to go next? What was your earliest memories of wanting to go into chemical engineering?
I was trying to do some calcs in terms of how long ago that was, like when I was 14, it was so long ago, because I've been basically working for 18 years now. Can you believe it? Between the companies, family of companies. However, the one thing that stands out to me is when I was around grade 7, I stood on a windmill with my grandfather. He's a big influence in my life. So what he did is trying to explain to me why we need to change to a pump, and the diameter size of the pipes, why it's important to have that specific diameter size. So that kept on standing out for me the whole time when I was going through my career. However, I didn't think that I would be an engineer. I thought I would be a doctor. And I think the same with Joanna. What happened is that as soon as you come into grade 11, you need to decide now what to do, what you need to do. And unfortunately, my parents also, they are not engineers, or they're not, they weren't highly qualified people at that point of time, so they couldn't afford my studies. I applied to NAMDEP, and they told me I can have a bursary in chemical engineering, and my grades were good. I then took it, and there I am, part of the chemical engineering group. I've sometimes wondered whether medical will be the field. However, when I look at what we are doing, and the slide that you showed earlier, is that you can transition your engineering degree at any time into a medical field. Here I was doing a lab for COVID, and I have no medical backgrounds, but just doing the process control, process management, project management, systematic way that we approach things. That's basically what we learn in engineering. So I haven't looked back yet. As you know, I've complemented my degree with a business degree now, but it's just to make yourself more marketable at the end of the day. As you've seen now, I'm 18 years in the business already. Oh, it's a long time. So yeah, I'm standing on the windmill with my grandfather next to me, and helping me through the process of understanding what to do when you need to get water out of a borehole.
Very interesting. Prudence, I'm going to go to you.
Thank you, Aditi. Myself, as far as when I was doing in Botswana, we don't have grades, but it's like Form 4. When I was doing Form 4, the government was intentional on encouraging us girls to get into the STEM courses during those days in the 90s. So really there was low uptake of girls doing courses. So those of us who were doing sciences were encouraged to enter science fairs. So when entering the science fairs, then I got an idea to get into sciences, but I was fascinated by geology. But God had it another way. Now when I did my Form 5, which is grade 12 in South Africa, I then got fascinated with electrical and electronics, mostly electronics, because the computers were getting into fashion, the 386s and the 486s. So I was just curious to see how they were manufactured. So that made me love to do electronics, and then I was sponsored by the Canadian government to go do my electronics diploma, and then when I finished, the Botswana took over for me to finish my degree in engineering. So really it wasn't the parents encouraging me, but my teachers were the ones encouraging me, because they used to bring in lady geologists, lady engineers, lady maths teachers, just to encourage us to get into the STEM courses.
Great, and I guess you're paying it forward now by being one of those role models for our girls here as well. So thanks, Prudence. I see Izan has been able to connect now and join with us. Izan, are you online?
Hi, Aditi. Yes, I am. Sorry for being so late, everyone.
Great, Izan. So we were going through a few questions and introducing our speakers as well. So everybody online, Izan is one of our speakers as well and has an engineering background in industrial engineering. So Izan, maybe can you give us a quick introduction of yourself, where you come from, and also included in that maybe what does a typical day look like for you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I'm Izan. As Aditi said, I'm an industrial engineer, and I'm currently based in Pretoria, South Africa. And I work at a tech startup where we build mobile applications and technologies for people with hearing loss and for audiologists. So it's quite an interesting field. My typical day to day at the moment, so I work in an office. I go in about 2 days a week, and then for the rest of the days I work from home. And I'm sort of the product owner of one of the projects that we're leading at the moment. So we're selling hearing aids directly to consumers in the US. And it's quite interesting because as an industrial engineer, you can pretty much work in any type of industry. So I never imagined myself working in the medical technology industry, but here I am today. And I really enjoy it because I get a lot of exposure to international clients and international business partners that we're working with, as well as local ones. And I've learned a lot about mobile applications, software development, audiology, hearing aids, and medical technology. And also I've learned a lot about medical compliance and certification, because as you know, a medical device has strict rules and regulations and standards that it needs to comply to. So it's also part of my job to make sure that we comply to that. So we're in the process of getting CE certification for our product, and I also help to manage the mobile development team. So, but I must say, working at a startup, it's quite interesting because you sort of get involved in all the aspects of the project and the business. So, because the team is so small, so I help out with packaging, I help out with the logistics, I help out in a lot of places. So it's been quite interesting and I'm enjoying it a lot.
Great. And Izan, lastly, what is one of your earliest memories of deciding I want to go into industrial engineering?
Yeah, so I remember when I was in high school, We had a subject called life orientation. So all the South African ladies will be familiar with that subject. And one of our assignments that we had to do for life orientation was to go and do in-depth research of a specific career that you are considering going into. So you had to do all the research about all the opportunities that are out there, the typical payment you can expect for a career in that field. And I remember researching quite a lot of things. I researched actuarial sciences. I researched becoming an economist, all kinds of different things. And then my dad actually suggested that I research industrial engineering. And the more I read up about it, the more interested I became, because what I really like about industrial engineering is the fact that you kind of have to work with all the aspects of a business. So yes, you work with the technology and scientific parts of a business, but you also have to make sure that the finances, you know, that there's enough finances. So you work with finances, you work with people and team management, you work with sort of the legal side of the business. Like I said, you need to make sure that everything you do in the company is within the correct legal framework. So I really like the fact that you don't just focus on one thing at a time. You get a little bit of exposure to many different things. So that really piqued my interest. And eventually I decided to go study industrial engineering, and I haven't looked back since. I'm really happy. And like I said, there's a lot of opportunities for industrial engineers, because you can work pretty much in any industry: manufacturing, medical, logistics, procurement, you name it. So yes.
Great, thanks, Izan, and an interesting dynamic to our conversations already. So that's questions from my side, and I see our chat group is going crazy. So girls, amazing questions coming up, and we're going to get through some of them. But I'm also, while we are going through them and sorting some of the questions, I'll facilitate asking some of them to our speakers. Is there anyone that wants to go live now to ask your question or share some insights from your side as well? And pick up your hand. And then, okay, Alzette, do you want to go first?
Yes, I would like to go first.
Great.
Okay, what are the greatest success that they have in engineering? How will they motivate a group of people working in a failing project? What can you say to us who are more eager to know about the engineering world? I'm so curious actually about I'm more curious about the geology.
Okay, great. Thanks, Alzette. And Dinai, maybe do you want to take this question around what has been driving your passion for the engineering and technology space?
Okay, let me take it. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have in the mines is protecting lives. So as we mine and as the mines get deeper, there's that risks that come with the possibility of the slopes failing. I don't know if they will relate in terms of what slope means, but it's basically the ground collapsing and probably burying people or equipment. So as people that are looking after the technology space, we find that as a very, very big challenge that we need to solve for the business to ensure that the business continues and that we save lives. So what we have been doing in that space is that we have deployed quite a lot of systems to ensure that there's consistent monitoring of the slopes or the pit walls, if I can put it like that, such that should there be any eventual collapse or failure of the slopes, we are able to detect that a lot earlier and be able to save lives by evacuating people before that event happens. So that's one of the things that are actually exciting and very challenging. So that's why I was saying earlier that we are always on our toes to ensure that we are, ahead in terms of technological, advancements, to ensure that we have all the right solutions to keep the business flowing, and also ensure that people are safe.
Great,
Thanks.
thanks, Nina. I hope it answers your question. I am going to take some from the chat now as well, so that we get as many in as possible. So starting from the top, I see one of the questions from Lunza was around any advice on marine engineering. Lunza and Joanna, you can maybe add in here. From my understanding, marine engineering is a very specialized engineering discipline. And marine engineering is how you design a water body equipment or structure, so anything from boats to like piers and platforms, and even drilling in the ocean as well. So it's specialized, and you can get into marine engineering by studying also a number of other engineering, for example, mechanical engineering or chemical engineering, even civil engineering as well, which are some of the primary disciplines. Lungelo's asking in the question, and I see Lungelo, your hand was up as well. So Lungelo had asked, Prudence, what was the first engineering project you worked on?
Thank you for that question. The first project, engineering project I worked on was on the security side when I was a maintenance engineer in the security department. We were changing our old system, which they had those years when I was still in high school, and modernizing it to the digital world. So I got involved from the design of the system that we wanted, the recorders, the CCTV, which is the closed circuit television, meaning the cameras that we needed to put in, the controllers that needed to be put in. And the reason why I was involved in the design was such that I gave the company that was going to install the information of how we want to be our operators to be observed when they're working on the sorting machines, as well as the sorters when they're handling the diamonds. As most of you will know, Botswana is highly dependent on diamonds, so the security of diamonds is very paramount. So that's the project that I worked in, and I managed to put my project management skills that I learned through my engineering modules during my school days, from the design, from the execution of the project, supervising, from the user acceptance testing, meaning now the security department from the control rooms to see if the cameras are zooming the way they want them to. It was such a fulfilling project, and also learning how you cost control your project. That was my project at an early on as a young engineer in the early 2000s. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Prudence. Let's go back to some of the hands. We got a number of hands raised. Riboningo, you can go next. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. I wanted to know, what are the most challenges in engineering projects, and how do we handle them?
Great. Joanna, maybe do you want to take this? So in your project, in terms of working on creating these machinery for the mining vessel that you're going to work on, right? What are some of the challenges you have to face?
Thanks so much for the question. I think now, because of COVID-19, that's been one of the biggest challenges. This is the first project of this size that I've been involved in. So with my limited experience, the usual issues that come up are time management, as well as managing the budget. So they usually speak about the triangle of cost, quality, and time in a project, where those three are the main items you need to focus on. So if your time takes too long, how you can solve it usually is if you increase the cost. So you add more resources, adding more people onto the team, so that you can do the same amount of work to the same quality, but unfortunately your cost has to go up. So that's the one area of projects that's usually where issues come up. But the COVID-19 has brought different set of aspects, because when you are building a plant, essentially, that has to work on a mining vessel, as you can imagine, it's a lot of contractors, a lot of different people working on site. And because of the social distancing, it was very difficult at the start. For example, I'm involved in the build of the crawler, which is the piece of equipment that has to go down into the sea to mine. So on site, when COVID started, they basically had to stop and figure out, okay, how are we going to build this machine in this workshop without getting everyone sick? So then they had to come up with a schedule of, okay, we'll split the team into half. Half of the team will come on these days, the other half will come this day, so that if someone gets sick, then at least the other half of the team can still come and do the work. So it's those types of problems that have come up now, as well as obviously now that means that if you can only work half of the time, then you have to think about how we're going to keep the schedule of the project in the same time. So those are the types of problems that have come up specifically now because of, in this project that I've seen because of COVID. I hope that answers the question.
Great. And it shows, Joanna, right, is especially when you're working in engineering, is most of the time your challenges are not knowing what to do in terms of the technical engineering aspects, but rather managing all the other aspects within a project as well. So thanks for that. I see a lot of hands up, so I'm not gonna, we'll work with all our other engineers coming in as well. And Sibanyoni, do you wanna go next? I know there's a group of you there. Can unmute yourself.
How long does it take to study mechanical engineering?
Great, thanks for that. And maybe do you want to introduce us to everybody in the room there as well?
My name is Tato Malbane. I study at Letulwazi.
Great, and Tato, is that all your friends with you there as well?
Sorry, ask again, ask the question. We didn't, can you ask the question again?
I was asking, can you introduce yourselves, everybody in the room? We can see everybody there.
Introduce yourself. Start here. Introduce yourself. Okay, start.
I'm Mabile Jabo. I'm in grade 7. I'm studying in Prudence Primary School.
Great, and are that all your friends there?
I'm Nivone Tabana from Ilinye High School. I'm studying in grade 10.
My name is Palisa Mshadi. I'm from Letulwazi High School, grade 9. I'm from Postloras Manila Street.
Okay. They're very shy.
Really, thanks for joining us. And maybe let's go straight to the question. So Joanna, it wasn't on mechanical engineering, but other speakers as well. How long did it take you to study for your first qualification?
I'll just go quickly then, because it was mechanical. So I did a Bachelor of Science in Engineering, which usually takes 4 years to do. And then you graduate with honors. Unfortunately, I failed 2 subjects while I was studying. So that sort of had a knock-on effect. And then, but I was still motivated. So then I finished within 5 years instead of 4.
Great. Other engineers from your side, how long did it take you to study?
Yeah, it also takes 4 years. It's the same as the mechanical engineering.
Yeah, so just to add to Ndinaye's answer, so all the engineering disciplines typically take 4 years, but I know at some universities they also have a 5-year program. So the University of Pretoria had a 5-year program, and you would typically study on that program if, for example, one of your marks wasn't good enough for going onto the 4-year program, if I can put it that way. So say, for example, you needed 80% or higher for physical sciences, and you maybe had something in the 70%, then you can go into the 5-year program. So it takes a little bit longer, but you still get the same degree at the end of the day, which is great.
Great, thanks for that, Izan.
Yeah, normally, yeah. Normally in Botswana, you have to do a pre-entry science course for 2 years, and then after that you do your chosen degree, which is usually 4 years, or you do a 3-year one if you go study abroad. Or either you start with a diploma and then, which is 2 years, and then you go and do your 3 years to finalize your degree. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Prudence. And I think that ties to a lot of the questions I see in the chat now as well around the importance of mathematics and science. So talking about the importance and whether you need to be good in it, I think across the board, engineering and technology qualifications, there's various levels. So you can either go to a university of technology, or a TVET college as well. And each of those institutions have different requirements for how good you need to be in maths and science. Why maths and science is so important, and I'd like some of our engineers to talk through about it. A quick understanding from my side is, so when you think about school and the subjects you do, maths and science is considered an applied subject. So you can't learn and by heart something, you have to understand how to solve a problem. And so engineering is really about that. In one line, engineering is about how do you solve some of the big problems in the world we currently have right now. Any engineers want to comment around the importance of maths and science, and can you still do engineering or be part of the engineering sector even if you haven't been good at maths and science?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, let me just comment on that. I was just gonna lament onto what you said. Maths and sciences are very critical because what we do currently, we are basically solving business problems. So we need those skills for you to be able to address those business problems. That's why maths and sciences are basic to engineering related courses. So what we are doing currently is simply solving business problems, and you need those qualifications for you to, to excel in those areas.
Yeah, just to add in a little bit to Ndinaye and Aditi, you are quite right. For you to be an engineer, as they've said, you need to be able to solve business problems. And to be able to solve business problems, you need to be analytical. And maths helps you to be analytical. It's not only needed in engineering, even as a lawyer, you need to be analytical. If you're good in maths and you become a lawyer, you're going to be a very good lawyer because you'll be able to negotiate those mergers and acquisitions eloquently. So for you to be an engineer or a science person, you have to be good in either of the sciences that you want to specialize in. If you want to be a chemical engineer, chemistry and mathematics, you have to be good at those and complement them with the other sciences. Biology, as a doctor, you need biology, maths as well. Engineers, maths, physics, chemistry. If you know those, they will broaden up your mind to be able to be analytical, because as you now broaden up your knowledge, as you can see, Ndinaye was able to transition from geology to being a systems engineer because she had the basics of maths. Thank you.
Thanks, Prudence. And I see a lot of hands coming up. Let's quickly go to Atlehang from Johannesburg.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Atlehang from Tembisa. I'm based in Tembisa and I'm in Rhodsville Technical High School. I have a question for Joanna. What makes you as a female mechanical engineer unique, and what was your most successful project?
Thanks, Atlehang. Joanna, do you want to go ahead?
Hi, Atlehang. Thanks so much for the question. Very specific. So you asked what was my, sorry, I missed the first part. I heard the second part about what was my most successful project thus far.
Joanna, maybe I can repeat here as well, because I've seen it in the question, the chat section as well. So in a very male-dominated space, have you felt challenge being a woman in that space as well?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That one I can speak to. So when I started working, I've only been working for 5 years since graduating with my degree. So as part of the graduate program, I was sent to some of the mines here in South Africa, actually, just to learn about how different mining operations within De Beers and Anglo, which is the parent company, works. I spent a lot of, not easy, because you are usually always the youngest person as a young female engineer, and you will usually be the only woman in your team. So sometimes there's a challenge of people trying to undermine you because they think, she's young, what does she know? And so on, from people who've been in the industry for years and years. But what's important to remember is because you are new, you have a different, mindset. I think a lot of people who've been in companies, big companies for very long periods of time, they're used to doing same things over and over. So it's more like a culture. And because you are new, you come up with new ideas. So it's important to know that your voice does matter and you can come up with new ideas and challenge the way things are done. And that's usually how you can bring about improvements. So that's the one thing. Even now in my new role as a project engineer, I'm the only woman in my team and I'm the youngest one in my team. So when I got there, I was a little bit intimidated. I'm not going to lie. But what's important to remember also is it's okay to make mistakes and that's how you learn. So because it was my first time working as a project engineer, I wasn't sure how everything works. But because I was willing to ask for help and willing to, accept help from those guys who've been in the industry for longer than me, that's how they guided me along the way. And even when I did make mistakes, it's not the end of the world. The guys, that's why we are a team. So everyone in the team helps each other. So if you are not so strong in this, then so you can lean on someone else for assistance to guide you in where you still need to learn. And then the second part of the question was a project that I've done. I think definitely this project of being involved in building a new mining vessel. It's exciting. It's millions of rands worth of equipment coming onto site from all over the world. Some of the equipment is coming from Europe, some from the USA, some from China. So it's a very, very big project and I've been exposed to so much and I'm learning so much even still now. So yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest achievements I would say in terms of projects.
Thank you.
Great, thanks for the question. Now we're going to go to Messina. So I know there's a big group of girls joining us. So Messina, we're going to do a quick hi to everyone here on the call and your questions as well.
Say hi, Messina. See, they sound like angels. So here's, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kamelele Shake, and my question is about biomedical engineering. Does it exist, and do we talk about it when we talk about STEM? If it does, is it in demand, and how do you really get there? Thank you.
Did you get that, Aditi?
Yes, we did. Great, thanks for that. If the engineers want to answer, I think is on, you're close to biomedical as well. From my brief introduction around biomedical, we do have some engineers in our network that's a biomedical engineer. And her job, she is on Instagram, so I can share a link to her profile there. Her job is really to go into hospitals, for example, and she does maintenance on, the big machinery that you use in the medical field. So your CAT scans, your X-ray machines. Biomedical engineers are also responsible for creating prostheses. So, your arms and legs and fingers. So yeah, biomedical engineers have to have a background in understanding the medical field, but also understanding how you can create machinery or equipment that can solve medical problems. And similar to Izan, where you are working around hearing aids, right? So Izan, maybe some perspective from your side.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Aditi. I think you answered the question really well. So all I can say is we have one biomedical engineer working at our company. And as far as I could understand, what he explained to me was that there wasn't a course necessarily for biomedical engineering at the university that he studied. So he started off with mechanical engineering. And then after that, he did like a supplementary qualification. So it's either like a master's in medical or something like that. So I'm actually not quite sure. I don't know if the other engineers can say whether there are universities that offer the course itself. Okay, yes. So, but I know my colleague, he started off with mechanical engineering and then he moved into the medical engineering field.
Great, thanks. And I see Volans noted as well. So it's medical plus mechanical. And biomedical engineering is a relatively new field. So historically, people have started with mechanical engineering because it deals a lot with machinery and mechanical components, and then specialized in biomedical. I do know the University of Witwatersrand has undergraduate, so your first course, your first qualification now can become in biomedical engineering as well. So as it becomes more popular, it becomes a newer branch that you can study from the beginning. This includes examples of like mechatronics engineering, which merges mechanical and electronic engineering to create example robots and drones. So it started as very specialized, but now it's becoming more what's considered common and mainstream. Bolan, do you want to add anything there?
I was actually recently doing research regarding it because my son is trying to see how he can combine the fields. And there's quite a number of universities now, even in Cape Town, that has the first undergrad studies. So it's quite an interesting field to go into. However, you also need to have a love for mathematics, science, and biology in this one as well. So you need to combine those three to ensure that you will be able to gain entrance into those universities. But it's quite an interesting field, and they do combine electronics because of the prosthesis and how you need to integrate it into the nerves. So yeah, so I'm doing a bit of research there for my son.
Great, thanks, Bolan. I see there's a lot of questions here about it as well. Is it possible to have spare time when one is an engineer? From Matsumi, so there's a group there. Matsumi, do you want to do a quick hi from your side? Can unmute yourself. Okay, did you click the unmute button, Matsumi? Okay, while we are waiting for them, engineers, anyone, maybe Engineer Prudence, do you want to tell us, do you have spare time to do anything else other than engineering?
Oh yeah, you do have, we did say, engineering teaches you to be analytical and to be a person who's organized when you do your things, because most of the things that we do are process oriented. So you plan your work. So we do have time to be with your friends. You do have your time to do your side hustles, like myself. A few years back, I discovered horticultural farming. I managed to do that. I managed to have my spare time just to volunteer to help the young girls and just show them that even engineering women are fun to be around. They don't just talk about solving issues and programming and being curious about how things are made. So you do have time, quality time to spend with family and friends.
Great, thanks, Prudence. Let's go to some of the hands that still up. Lungelo, from your side.
Hi, guys.
Okay, you can go ahead, Lungelo.
Okay, I have a question that's from Miss Joanne. So I want to ask, since her field is mostly filled with males, I want to ask, in what instance has she demonstrated leadership, and how would she describe her style of being a leader?
Great. Yes. Joanna?
Hi, Lungelo. Thanks so much for your question. In my current role, I'm not really a direct supervisor to anyone. So I do work in a team and we all report to the same manager. However, we manage a lot of contractors who are people that are doing the work for the vessel build. So I think it's a two-part answer. The first one is my management style, if I can call it that, is just about how you engage with people. So I would say, especially when you work with so many different contractors, or even working within the company with different departments, it's to give respect and you will get respect back. I'm sure the other ladies in the panel can agree. Because respect is not just given, it's definitely earned. So people knowing that they can trust you when they give you some work, you will deliver it to a high quality, and you are going to, if you have issues, you will tell them, okay, I'm not really understanding what is required from me. And then you deliver your work to a high quality and within the time that's required and so on. And then the challenge of being the only woman, I think that's changing slowly. I do see that in more and more companies, especially even with my fellow graduates that I graduated with, we are seeing more and more women in the companies where we work. I think it's just about not being afraid to voice your opinion, even though you will be the youngest in the room or the only woman in the room, and show that because of that, you have, advantages that you see things that maybe another person sees as a challenge. You will see it as an opportunity to improve a system or to improve maintenance or to improve safety and so on. But yeah, I'm sure the other ladies in the panel can attest to that. The challenges of being a woman, you can look at it as a challenge or as an opportunity to really bring your strengths that a man typically wouldn't see.
Great, thanks, Joanna. Any of our other engineers, would you like to share? Izan, have you had any challenges in your work experience?
Yes, so I must say, there where I work, I'm lucky because we are a company that's almost 50% split between male and female. Sometimes I do experience some challenges with some of the male, especially the software engineers, who can be a little bit condescending and so forth. But I've also learned to work with them and to not really take things personally. I've realized that I can still learn a lot from them. So I try to ask questions when I don't know, because I've also seen that one of the biggest things or biggest mistakes that you can make is to pretend that you know or understand something when you don't, because somewhere down the line, it is going to come back and bite you, unfortunately. So feel free to ask questions and to admit if you don't know something. Because there's always an opportunity to learn, and for you girls who will be starting as new engineers in the industry, it's okay if you're new, to ask a lot of questions, rather that, and then after a few weeks or months, after you've asked all your questions, you can really start contributing to the team and to your work, instead of being scared to ask questions, but then it takes you a lot longer to actually hit the ground running, if I can put it that way. And that's one of the compliments I received at work. So they said, Izan, you really hit the ground running. You started contributing from the beginning. And it's because I made sure that if there was something that I didn't understand or know, I would ask. So I hope that helps.
Great, thanks, Izan. I see so many hands up and it's almost coming close to time. I'm going to ask Marama, you've had your hand up. So Marama Secondary School, do you want to unmute and share a question that you'll have?
Hi guys, my name is Tina. So I have a question that, so what if I have this dream of being an engineer, but people around me keep teasing me about it and saying it's a bad idea, and my parents on top of that keep saying, we want you to be a doctor. So how do I deal with all that pressure? Thank you.
Question. Thanks, girls, for joining. Engineers, any of you had the pressure where your parents didn't support the career field that you've gone into?
So I haven't had that pressure, but I know of people that had that pressure. However, you need to decide at the end of the day, you're going to live with that specific degree. You can still mix the medical with whatever engineering you want to do. So you can still combine it and still give a bit of a satisfaction to your parents. But however, the biggest thing is you should not allow people to pressure you into doing things, because at the end of the day, you will be so unhappy. I'm an engineer. I thought both my sons will be an engineer. The one told me straight he's going to be a YouTuber. I don't see any future for a YouTuber, but I need to support it. So get yourself a mentor that can maybe talk to your parents and see how you can link these two together, or just give you guidance or your parents' guidance, because it is a good career. And at the end, you can link to it, and you need to be happy. It's always, you need to be happy in your field, definitely.
Great advice, Pauline. And as we said, is throughout this process and by you connecting here, right, it's changing the ideas that your community have. And we know a lot of you as girls come from communities where engineering is not a common career field, or that our parents or our community don't know much about it themselves as well. So we are happy to have this community and build it where we can help you educate your community about the opportunities that lie in this field and how exciting it is as well to be in it. So really, thanks for that question and us understanding how we can support you going forward and take the pressure off you of choosing a career field as well. I see we're coming close to our time, so I'm going to have a few more questions and then just round up some critical questions that I think have been coming from the chat. Around subject choices, scholarships, internships. So maybe let's just, Colette, I know you've said you've got a couple of questions. Do you want to go unmute yourself and share? Hi, Colette.
Hello, I want to ask you if you can do.
Okay, Marama, can you give us a moment? Colette's got some questions first.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to ask about the aerospace engineering. So I heard it's about the designing and the development and the production of air and spacecraft. So I want to know, what does it require? Like, you know, most engineering, like the mechanical ones, they require drawing and stuff, and I'm not good with engineering. So I'm so curious on how to do this, and I feel like I can do it because I'm not one to give up. So I want to know what is required of me to literally study this, and do we have any universities in South Africa where I could be able to study this aerospace engineering?
Great question. So in the chat that you also were interested in software engineering, and I think to answer that question really quickly from my side is yes. The University of Witwatersrand has a qualification. It's called Aeronautical Engineering, and you learn about aerodynamics and about planes, and so it's similarly related to mechanical engineering. So it is also very specialized. I think also context in terms of the South African space is aeronautical engineering is normally quite popular in the US and in Europe, for example. In South Africa, one of the main employers of aeronautical engineers is their missile company. The name slipped my mind right now. So it is not a major engineering industry within the South African or African context, but there's a lot of opportunities globally for aeronautical engineering as well. So if you are looking at the workspace and if where you would want to be located, if you love being in South Africa as well, looking at aeronautical, so the University of Wits will have more information, but also knowing that some of the other engineering disciplines related to that, it includes, example, mechanical engineering as well, that does a lot of work now within the drone space as well. And so just a heads up from there. And I think with regards to software engineering, you can specialize as with software engineering, where it's around development of apps and all the stuff that you see digitally. But also knowing that currently when you are studying, almost all engineering courses have work programs around programming and using technology as well. And so what's required from you right now is, again, I think the basis of studying engineering is maths and science and doing really well in it, because to study for a qualification in engineering is quite a competitive one, but it's also knowing that I saw a question earlier about if I haven't done maths and science, can I be in the engineering space? And the answer is yes. And something we promote at Women is entrepreneurship as well. So each one of you in your community right now can understand or assess what problems are going on in your community and how can you solve it in an community way. I think that's a good way to start and help also build your portfolio as you want to go and pursue different careers as well. I see our time is running out. There was a question from Marama again. Do you want to unmute and just quickly share?
Hello, I wanted to ask if you can engage in all types of at once.
Marama, maybe just if you can give us a little more context. So what do you mean by engaging in all different types of engineering?
Like, let's say maybe in the long run, study all types.
I think the quickest answer is going to be you're going to have your entire life studying. So engineering is very vast. And so, yes, you can go between different engineering disciplines that are similarly related. But I don't think it would be possible for you to cover every type of engineering discipline in your lifetime, just because the amount of knowledge you need to have as well. So
the closest I did is if she follows mechatronic, then she'll be able to study a bit of electrical, electronics, and mechanical. But as you say, there's just no way you can major in all the engineering disciplines. You'll be so confused with civil, mechanical, electrical. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. And I think last question as we rounding up, and maybe one engineer from each of our countries, is a big question here is around subjects in school, right? How good do you need to be in it? What is important? What isn't important? Maybe Prudence, would you like to summarize in terms of Botswana? What subjects do you need in school to set you up for success, and at what levels do you need to work at if you want to go to? In Botswana, I know there's a university level as well as a University of Technology level as well. Can you give us some background to help girls plan that aspect?
So I think if the young ladies want to go for engineering, as soon as they go for senior high school, that is your Form 4, make sure you choose science-based courses, whereby you have maths as the primary thing. It doesn't have to be pure mathematics, but it's an advantage. But you have to do maths, pass it really well, and either do your physical sciences or your pure sciences. Pure sciences, we mean you doing a separate biology, physics, chemistry, and then the other subjects to complement it. It's very important in Botswana to also pass English with a good grade, C or better. If you don't, you won't be admitted into the universities or the technical colleges that will take you for a diploma that will bridge you into the university. After that, the government has got a bursary for science students. If you do well, they will sponsor you to any of the universities that you would have applied to, either University of Botswana or BUST University in Palape, or some of the other engineering, like the aeronautical, they normally take you to Florida in the US because that's one of the best schools, or in South Africa, or they can either, the government can either sponsor you to South Africa at one of the technical universities to study there. So currently, because maybe we are fortunate in Botswana, we are not too many. If you pass really well, you are guaranteed a bursary through the government, or either one of the companies, Botswana, will sponsor you if you are one of the top performing students in the country.
Good. And so just to sum up as well, Prudence, if those who didn't catch it, is you need around 60% at least in maths and science to go to university. But there's also different options where in South Africa, we'll talk briefly about the Tibet colleges as well. So thanks, Prudence. Volin and Joanna, I know both of you have studied here in South Africa, but from a high schooling perspective, what are some of the requirements you need in Namibia?
Before Joanna goes, definitely the same as what Prudence said, you need to choose your science fields, mathematics and science fields. In fact, mathematics are compulsory with us until, I think, grade 8, 9, in terms of the new curriculum. So you're going to take mathematics the whole time. So in terms of your science fields, you just need to select that. Engineers, I took accounting, which was totally off from what I can. So your 6th subject, you can basically take geography, accounting, history, whatever you want to do, but make sure your core subjects, that 4 that you need to do, includes the mathematics and the science subjects for you to be able to branch out. Now you get drawings as well in an early age, computer sciences as well, so you can choose that subject as well. But that is important. Unfortunately, we're competing for bursaries when it comes to Namibia. So you need to do really, really well. And the best will do basically to do your AS levels and then go for your A levels in terms of our new curriculums, because that will give you guaranteed access into any university around the world, not just in Namibia. We have now, our University of Namibia have now introduced technical subjects as well as NUST, University of Technology as well. But if you do your AS and your A levels, it will open up to go to Botswana, to Florida, to Canada, to South Africa, any of those places. So you need to do very well in your subjects.
Great, thanks. Izan, maybe do you want to wrap it up from a South African perspective? What's the key things you need if you want to pursue a formal qualification into engineering?
Sure. So Aditi, I quickly Googled it just to make sure that it's still the same as back in the day when I started university. So for mathematics in South Africa, to qualify or to get into an engineering degree at a university, you need a minimum of 75%. And I see they say specifically for electrical and electronic engineering, you need a minimum of 80% for mathematics. And then for physical sciences, you need a minimum of 65%. So I think, yeah, like all the other mentors also said, those are the 2 main subjects that they look at. But I also want to echo what Volin said about the bursaries. It's very competitive, and they definitely look at your marks when they need to decide who gets the bursary. So if you want to qualify for a bursary, I would recommend that you work as hard as possible to get the best marks. And sometimes they also look at your extracurricular activities, so if you participate in some sports or, culture activities at your school, it just helps to boost your bursary application, if I can put it that way. So that's requirements from a South African perspective.
Great, thanks, Izan. And I'm going to add to that as well. So in all 3 countries, as you said, a lot of people talk about university entry. And to give you this a high level perspective is getting into engineering. There's many ways to get into the engineering and technology sector, right? You don't even have to have a qualification to start off with. It is harder if you don't have one, but you can be participating in engineering and technology by becoming an entrepreneur, by becoming an inventor, and just being curious on how to solve some of these problems using engineering and technology. So that's one. And that starts by being curious now and going out, thinking about the problems your community has and figuring out how can I use some of the skills I've learned with my maths or my science, particularly to help in the community, whether it's about treating the water or picking up litter. How can I use these skills? The second is a lot of emphasis has been put on university. University is considered if you are very interested in what's called first principles or designing solutions for problems from very theoretical first principles, abstract concepts, then you go to university. If you prefer being very practical, working with your hands, but also like example, enjoy drawing and the technical aspects a lot more, we'd recommend going to example, a University of Technology. At a University of Technology, the work is more practical based, but still incorporates some of the theory. And that you require typically around the 60% mark in your maths and science as well. And then the third option as well, where you, if you really, really love working on more practical solutions, example, mechanics and what's called boiler makers, an interesting option is also called TVET colleges. So they're technical colleges where you can also get what's called, you become an artisan. And so you work on a very practical basis around electricians, mechanics. The engineering space needs a lot of this right now. And so that is also another option for you. 1 minute. So yes, lots of options, lots that we can discuss, and we'd love to hear more from you as well. I know we're going a few minutes over time. So I just want to get a feel from everybody, more or less around rounding up. So speakers, what would be one of your one piece of advice that you'd give to our aspiring engineers on the course? So maybe just in a quick 30-second, but yeah, what's your one piece of information you wish you knew as a young girl pursuing a career, going into a career in engineering technology?
Yeah, let me just start there, Aditi. I think one thing that is very, very, very critical is to make sure that the girls follow their dreams. It is very important. I had one of the girls asking that she has a challenge where the parents want her to do something else, but she wants. So it's very important for you guys to follow your dreams, because if you do something that you love, you will definitely do it to your best ability. You know, so do follow your dreams. Where you need clarity, ensure that you always ask. Or also you can utilize the media. There's a lot of information and content that is out there. So you should just utilize that and Google and find out more. Drill deep into your choices and make sure that whatever choice you take, you are a bit informed. Yeah, that's my last word. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Indinai. Volan, from your side, one piece of advice.
Always stick with never give up on your dreams. Always pursue your dreams. Unfortunately, it's hard work to get those high marks. Some of your friends will go out and party and do all those things, and you will have to work hard, but that's your dream. Put it on your wall and make sure that you see it every single day, but never give up on your dreams.
Great, thanks, Volan. Joanna?
For me, it's to don't let your current circumstance define your future, because I didn't come from a family with a lot of money or anything like that, but I didn't give up. And yeah, I never imagined I would be sitting in Cape Town one day, and here I am. So yeah, that's my advice to the ladies.
Great. Prudence?
To all the young girls, I can just say to them, focus on your dream, be consistent with what you want, work hard. You don't have to be an A-star student. Work hard, ask questions, use network, especially now that you are in high school. Use this Women Eng, use your career guidance teachers, use the media, as one of the speakers has said, and the sky is the limit. Don't seek validation from anybody. Go for what you want. Thank you.
Great. Elisa, and lastly from your side.
Great. So I think I'd like to share two things that I've learned over time. So I think the first one echoes what Volan said. You know, it is going to take sacrifice to reach your dreams and to get where you want to be. I mean, I remember so many nights when I was a university student, you know, all my friends would go out partying and I couldn't go with them because I had to study for a test that I had the following day or whatever the case may be. But now I look back and I literally have no regrets. I'm so happy that I made those sacrifices because I have a bright future ahead of me, and you can have that too if you are willing to make the sacrifices. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I realized, just as we all graduated, I had a girl who lived in the same university residence as I did, and she told me one day that she was so heartbroken because she studied a degree, and obviously she did well in it. She worked hard and everything, and as soon as she entered the job market, she just realized that there were no jobs available for that field, right? And that's kind of disappointing because she worked so hard. And she told me that she really wished that she knew this before she opted or tried to do that degree. Because if she knew beforehand, she would have done something different. So by sharing this story, what I want to say is, you know, if you consider a career choice, whether it's in engineering or any other career field, go do some research, use Google, make sure that there are job opportunities for that career field. Yes, that's just what I wanted to share, because at the end of the day, it's a very competitive job market out there. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I advocate for engineering so much, because I know there is a lot of opportunity if you become an engineer. So yes, and all the best to all of you.
Great, thanks, Yvonne. And really briefly, I want to hear from any of our girls on the call. Has this call helped you? Any key insights you've learned? Anything inspiring you'd like to share as well? You can go ahead and unmute. I see a couple of hands have been up.
Hi everyone.
Hi,
I wanted to ask.
Hi, Buri. I think you're on mute.
Being in this meeting has helped me a lot to because I have so many things I would like to do within career paths. So then this one has just made me realize that it helped me quite a lot for which career I would like in the future. And yes, oh, and I also wanted to ask Ms. Wallen, what is the business? What did she what was hard for her for the business analysis?
Okay. The last part was a bit difficult for me to get.
Yeah, Buri, can you just repeat that last part really quickly?
Oh, I wanted to ask more about the business engineering, the business analysis.
So what I did is I combined a master's in business administration with my engineering degree to give me a broader field to understand business. It's what Izan said. Industrial engineering give them aspects into finance and into different areas. So what is important to me was to understand the whole business of Namdeb and be able to make critical business decisions as well, and not just engineering, the technical side, because we tend to be very good when it comes to our engineering field, but sometimes when the finances side and the marketing side, we lack a bit, and that's why I combined them. So that's actually the reason why I did an MBA, to broaden myself in terms of my knowledge.
Great. Thanks, Wallen, for sharing. I think lastly, Lungelo, do you want to share any sentiments of if this call has been helpful for you? What's your biggest takeaway?
Well, this meeting was very helpful because I wasn't sure about what career field I should choose, and I think I now know which career field I should choose and which subject. But then I'm still not sure about choosing physical sciences to be part of the engineering field.
Great. Thanks, Lungelo, and we can chat also post this call as well to help you navigate that. Okay, I think that's it from our side. Anybody else wants one more chance? Any girls to share what they've learned from this session? Can go ahead and unmute. Okay, I think that's it from our side. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you to all the girls for your questions. There is a lot of questions. What comes after this is that post this event, I know a lot of you are still interested in learning more. We will connect with you and share a link to a WhatsApp group we've set up for you as well as girls that we've had part of our previous programs. I do encourage you to please use the group to ask your questions and we can get back to you and respond to your questions on the WhatsApp group. And then to our engineers, thank you really around taking the time to answer questions from our aspiring engineers, to share your stories, and hopefully in a couple of years' time, we're going to hear from a lot of these girls, you as engineers as well, sharing your insights as well. So thank you everybody for joining. Have a good Saturday and let's keep the communication and relationship going as well. Thanks everybody for joining. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You can say bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Thank you for listening.
They're giving everyone a chance to say bye.